All right. So, welcome to the podcast. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks.
I'll just get you to give a quick intro to the crowd and tell them who you are.
Cool. So my name is Edna Swart, recently Edna Stevens, since I've been married, and I am the owner and creative director of Edni Body.
Cool. So, thanks for coming on. As we we're just saying off camera, I'd love to you to take me through a history lesson. I know it's only been a few years, but for me, bring me up to speed. Where did this TV show come from? How did that journey start?
So at the time, back then, my girlfriend and I, who is also on the show, she was living with me, and she was going through a bit of a breakup, to be completely honest, and I was sort of there, and she was living with me to get through this. And at the same time, conveniently, Warner Brothers was looking out for entrepreneurs. They didn't really quite have the scope yet, but they were surfing out there what was going on in the market. And they came across Ia, and then as they were watching Ia, they saw me kind of in the background because I'm there getting up all the antics with her while she was single.
Cool.
And we were just having a lot of fun, and they're like, wow, this is a good chemistry. Let's bring them in and let's see. So we weren't the only ones that they tested. Cool. But I would have to say our chemistry that we had just worked, and it was that mix between brains and funny and just, that's how essentially they were just scoping, and we stepped it up. And we got it.
Yeah. Had you been in that world before that? In TV world and anything?
No, but I grew
media?
up with a camera in my face.
Okay.
Yeah, a camera doesn't scare me. My father was like, I'm going to watch you grow up every single minute of your way. So it was So it wasn't intimidating.
So that bit was intimidating. But what was that ride like from if you've never been on TV to then just all of a sudden thrown into a show that's getting produced, was that a bit surreal at the time, or was it?
If you look at the first couple of episodes, we're awkward. What do we do? We're trying to be natural, but and then by the third season, you see it. There's no filter. We're all guns blazing, and that's just who we are.
Yeah,
and so it gets easy.
So it got easier. Yeah. And then you told me as well off camera that the side hustle, the business was a side hustle prior to that. Yeah. What caused that to begin?
So my business partner at the time came home and said one day, I went to this conference, came across Shopify. It's unreal. You come up with a business. You got to get out of banking. You got to get out of the corporate world. That's not how you make money. You need to have your own hustle.
Cool.
You come up with the idea and let's just do it. And so we did.
Yeah.
That's how it started. And it was a swimwear label for the first 2 years before we pivoted to cosmetics and body care.
Cosmetics.
Yeah.
And in that beginning stages, firstly, why swimwear? What caused that?
I'm a summer girl.
Yeah.
I love the beach. And at that time, this is now 6 years ago, coming on 7 years, there was no brand, a New Zealand label that had simplistic, minimal swimwear.
Yeah.
When you're at the beach, why are you wearing a t-shirt? Wear something simple because you want to catch the rays. Yeah. There just wasn't anything. So I was like, I'm going to be that brand. Let's create it.
Yeah. That's funny because now you'd think that's just normal, right? Because it was everywhere.
Time goes, things evolve so quickly, especially on social media. So back then, though, New Zealand just didn't have it. And how, when you were launching that, how big of an impact was social media at the time? Were you doing the same sort of organic content back then, or was it more paid? To be completely honest, I was not leveraging social media the way I am today. You live and you learn.
Yeah, of course.
But right from the get-go, when I started Edni Swimwear, I was the face of. I was the body of. I did everything. I felt like a bit of a brand whore in my own business, whoring myself out, just to get a sale essentially. But that's how you do it. I didn't have money. Everything, the whole Edni brand is bootstrapped. To this day, we've had not $1 of investment. Cool. So everything was, whatever you make, put it back in there. You get a sale, put it back in there, grow. And now it's obviously come a long way, but back then, the only thing relatable is the fact that I'm still the face of.
Yeah. Okay.
And I'm still hustling the same way.
Yeah. If you were to do that again today, would you have changed any approach to it now in today's world? 6-7 years later?
No.
Nah. Still just put yourself out there.
I put myself out there because nobody is committed or loves your brand or has any invested interest or gives a shit the way that you do. Yeah. So
what about those brands out there who think, we come up against this a lot, that, I don't want to make me the face of the brand because if I want to exit out of it one day, I want other investors and things like that. What do you think about those people who go in with that attitude?
My first question is, do you have investment?
Yeah.
Because they probably do.
Yep.
Because normally when you have investment, you're probably not the face of because you're investing a lot of money into ambassadors and PR agencies and a lot of people that can grow your brand a very different way than the way that we grow a brand. But I wouldn't change that.
Yeah.
Like, I still think having a face of and having somebody relatable is like key. Even if you don't choose to be the face of, right? You get somebody else to be the face of and you have that money and you invest in them. Having a face of drives a brand because people don't relate to brands, people relate to people. So they have to turn to somebody and go, do I relate to this person, aka brand, and go, I'm willing to put a penny over there and support this brand.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, I would ask them first if they've got investment. They probably do.
Yeah.
And if not, they will be the face of.
Yeah. They have to be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, okay. So that side hustle was going. When the show came about, where was the business at that point? Was it still side hustle territory, or had it started to become a full-time thing by that stage?
It slowly became full-time.
Cool.
When the show aired,
yeah.
I was full-time in the business.
Okay, cool.
I'd had let go. But the first season, if you have a look, that was a time that I was in the full development of the very first body care products of Edni Body. So we were already designing and pivoting and moving into a new world, which I never thought in my right mind, being a 15-year-old dropout out of school, that I would be creating a cosmetic company. Yeah. Like, I had no idea that I could even do that, but I was like, fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah. How the pivot to cosmetics? Like, where did that come from?
I've always had a massive insecurity about my skin.
Okay.
I had severe acne growing up, body acne. And as much as so I competed in athletics as well. And my biggest thing was putting on a crop top. And the same you can relate with my swimwear. You put on the swimwear, but you were like, I want to wear this swimwear, but I'm so not confident in my skin. And I was like, I'm always wearing this. I've come a long way. By that time, I had come a long way. I still had some acne. I still have acne today on my body. But I was like, what can I create to complement my swimwear range for women to not only feel body confident but skin confident.
Yeah. Okay.
So that was how Edni Body was born, as a complementary to swimwear.
Yep.
And then fast forward a year, COVID started happening and a whole lot of other situations, and we were like, well, swimwear's just not going to keep a roof over my head by that time when I was going full time. Yeah. So we had to make the call of going, well, we're going to have to close down the swimwear arm and purely focus on a income derived business where it's a consumable product, people come back and back and back. And that was just the way that we decided. Yeah,
interesting. Was it from a marketing perspective? Was it difficult to change like that? Like, how was the audience and the community, or the presence?
Actually quite easy. I think it's because I had such a loyal small community then, and right from the get-go I've always been very transparent with my business. Like, I've surprised my audience with like new product, but most of the time it's like, okay, I'm working on this. What do you guys think about this ingredient? Yeah. Okay, I'm thinking about doing this. I want your feedback. Yeah. So there's always been this open line of communication with my community that when I decide to do something, they're like, we're there with you. So it's never like what are you doing?
Yeah, okay, cool. So you've fully been telling the journey along the way so that they come along with it.
And I think, Boss Babes definitely helped with that, because obviously that's like a reality show where they were able to capture more of a reality than you would just on like a TikTok or something like that. Like, they're like there. Yeah. And that is all authentic. Everything we did with Boss Babes was, they worked around our lives. They were like, what are you working on? When's your next meeting? What are you doing? Can we be there? So they slotted in with, like, nothing was staged in a sense or anything. Yeah. So that grew, I guess, a very loyal community. But if we weren't authentic and if we didn't build a proper brand, there's no way we would have got a season 2, let alone a season 3. Because I can tell you this, in the New Zealand TV industry, you even getting a season, you're lucky.
Absolutely.
So there has to be a level of like authenticity in there.
Yeah. And what was that like as you went through that, the TV show and the seasons and stuff, how did that play into the business? How did that affect the business? Was there like a direct drive and brand from that? You see? Yeah.
Of course.
But how did you capture that?
So Ed and I, we were strategic in the way that every time we were told you were blessed with another season, we were like, oh my God, thank you so much. We were like, okay, so how do we utilize this? Because this is the best form of marketing that we're never going to have to pay for. Essentially, I'm getting paid for it. So how can we leverage this? And so we were very strategic that every time there was a season being filmed between 4 to 6 months, we were actively working on a new product or working on something. And then when the season dropped, that product would have dropped. Cool. So the customers felt like they were going along the way. That's us being smart about it. We could have not done that, but we made sure that we did do that. And I say this to people because they're like, oh, do you think Boss Babes was like your tipping point? I'm like, Boss Babes was years ago. Like it's Boss Babes hasn't been around for 2 years now.
Yeah.
And if we fundamentally didn't have a product that consumers came back and bought, meaning a quality product, Boss Babes would have done shit.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
That was just fun, cool. You had a show and move on.
Yeah.
So as much as it was like, yes, Boss Babes did, and they did a great help, and I'll forever be grateful.
Yeah.
If your fundamentals of your business isn't there, it doesn't matter what support you get, your customer is not going to come back.
No, exactly. And then, you even look at a lot of these reality TV shows, like the people who are in them, and then they kind of just disappear into the sunset, right? Because they had nothing and did nothing with it, which I think is quite cool. Like how you, like I kind of want to ask that, like, where did you think that, was that just natural, your ability to know, let's just drop stuff when the season drops, like the way that you built the business and marketed? Was that like a natural thing, just an instinct you had, or was it something you sort of learned?
I do have a business degree. Like I've got some sort of
background in business.
In business, and I've worked in the corporate world and watched, in banking when things drop, campaigns drop in banking and the timing and all these things. Like I think, you can start a business, but if you don't have any idea of growth strategies and knowing when to do things, then you're in for a bit of a tough ride. Like you've really got to understand your market and how to market. Yeah,
absolutely. How did you know what gave you the constant confidence to reinvest everything? Because you talked about that, like get a sale, reinvest it, because it's not cheap. I
didn't have a choice.
Bring on it. You didn't have a choice?
I didn't have a choice.
Yeah.
Because and it's public knowledge, I tried to get crowdfunding.
Yep.
And it didn't work because it was literally, I think something happened in the media when we went live as well, and it was like, oh my God, this is the worst time to launch crowdfunding. And it just was a flop, and I ended up going, so it ran its course. We didn't make what we did. So it wasn't a flop, it was a massive learning. Nothing's a flop in business. I have to say that.
Sure.
Everything is a learning.
Yeah.
And then I realized after that happened, I was like, you know what, this is a reason. I've just got to back myself even more. And it was just, we just didn't have a choice, because I knew if I wanted to bring up more SKUs, I needed to have money. So I had to wait till I had money, then I had to go invest in a new SKU, and then that SKU would come out and then would sell, and then we'd take that money and do another SKU.
Yeah.
Where if you look at like these other brands, they come out with a whole collection of products. Then they've got backing.
Yeah, of course.
Because I know how much it costs to make a SKU. I'm like, that's
cheap.
investment.
Yeah.
You see me being very transparent on my socials going, I'm now working on this.
Yeah.
I'm now working on, come to market, I'm now working on this. Because from the sales of that one, now we're taking that money and we're making the next one.
Yeah.
And yes, it's become easier over time. Like I said to my husband the other day, he said to me, you're doing well, I'm proud of you. Do you feel like this is getting easier? And I was like, well, I guess there's sort of like a discipline, like it's a blueprint of a discipline. Like, do you think it's easier every morning you get up and you go to the gym? The more times you do it, the easier it gets, right?
Yeah.
But then if you stop, you've got to have that discipline and the same, and you learn and you keep going. And I think that's sort of what's happened with me. It's like it's become easier but stressful in different ways as the company grows. Yeah. But I'm blabbering. Sorry.
No, you're 100% on the money. It's the same with us, right? Like when it was just me in the business, it was stressful because it was just me and we were trying to, where's the next sale? But now the stresses are like, shit, are we going to make payroll? Like there's all these mouths we got to feed, how we do it. So it's like way more money's coming in, but just as much as going out.
And it's interesting about that, because I said that to my team on Tuesday when we were yesterday. I was like, fuck me, like look at these invoices. I'm like, just the more money you make, the more money you spend. And there's always a saying in business, right? You got to spend money in order to make money. And I'm like, I never quite got it 4 years ago. And then now you're like, man, you need to invest. You keep putting money out there and the money will come. But you got to get your business to that point. Yeah.
And you start like, I don't know about you, but for me, it was like, I started getting desensitized to numbers and money.
100% I'm there.
For
me, it's like, in, out, in, out. It's like just monopoly, essentially. You're like, yep, cool, done. Sad.
It's sad. Like the first time that my bank had 6 figures in it, and I remember losing my shit going, holy shit, like that's my bank.
God, yeah.
And now I'm like, it'll be gone tomorrow. Like
gone.
It's the first of the month tomorrow, it'll be gone.
20th of the month, boom, gone.
All out. Yeah, exactly. So throughout that journey in that initial period, how did you pay yourself? Like were you?
I didn't.
You just didn't?
So my strategy was when I was working in banking, I said to myself one day as I was like, oh my God, I love just being my own boss. This is so cool. I said, okay, I need a plan. I'm a bit of a planner, right? And I was like, okay, if I want to work for myself, I know I won't be able to pay myself for, let's say, 2 years. That's what I thought.
Cool.
So I'm going to save enough money to keep a roof over my head for 2 years.
Yeah.
So I was mid-20, late 20s, I think it was 26. And I was like, okay, we've got this. I started saving. So everybody else was buying houses. Everybody else was buying houses. And I quit and I took at that point, I saved 6 figures.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, cool.
Nice.
This could be a deposit, but it's not. And I'm going to take everything and risk it into the fact that I'm just going to go start my business.
Cool.
And that disappeared in 6 months.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck,
Yeah.
now what? Because I just simply went guns blazing and I literally just put everything into the business. It's like, I believe in this. I can do this. And then the business essentially just kept a roof over my head, like paid for like my rent to my phone and all that kind of stuff because it can when you're at that point.
Yep.
But that was my thing. So for 3 years, this year, what are we now? 4 years.
Yep.
This year is the first year that I paid myself.
Yeah, wow. Interesting.
Yeah.
So you just took out what you needed to get by.
Yeah.
And now you're paying yourself a salary, or do you pay dividends
I'm now
out?
on salary because
salary,
if we were ever wanting to like position ourselves, you got to show that you're actually paying yourself.
Exactly.
And I just bought a house, so I was like, I needed to
Yeah.
show that I'm actually getting an income to service a loan. And
Yeah, exactly. So that's interesting, right? Like, would you, if you were to go back again, would you change anything about the way you paid yourself? You just do it all the same?
I tell people that now as well.
Yeah.
That like I've got girlfriends of mine now that are just starting their business and they're like, you're here, like, how did you do it? Like, you know, I didn't quite get it years ago when you did this. And I'm like, keep working. Yeah. Keep reinvesting all the money that you're doing and get yourself an exit strategy out of your full-time job where you're like, this is going to be my plan. Yeah. But if you truly believe in your business, you need that exit strategy out of your full-time job and you've got to commit everything. Yeah. Yeah. So 100%. I'm proud I did it that way. Yeah, that's great. And it's cool. Like, the reason I ask is that I did it the same way and we would never change it. Like, we're the same. We had a 2-year runway. Like, so my partner and I, like, we moved back to New Zealand. We had a 2-year runway. We're like, let's go all in. I mean, COVID happens the moment we moved back here. But as in hindsight, it was probably a blessing for us because everyone had to jump online. Everyone, especially like when we targeted LinkedIn and B2B businesses, and they definitely needed it because the only way they knew was networking. And so they needed something else. So it was good in hindsight, but like, we went in with a 2-year window. We're like, we got money to go for 2 years. And you're right. Like, I think it was like 9 or 12 months in, we'd spent it all. Because the money started to come back by then. But we were like, okay, it's coming back. Like, all right, let's go. Like, let's back us on this. We got the idea that the attention seeker was born, and we threw it all back in. And then we started, like, you're burning the boats, right? You're just burning the boats and saying, fuck it. Like, we just got to do this. Trust it. Yeah. That's when your strongest belief that you ever have in yourself comes in. Yeah, that's it. And even to today, like, so we did do it differently in terms of we paid ourselves a salary. I think 2021, we first started paying ourselves a salary, but it was a minimum 48K each, you know, just enough to pay rent and living, stuff like that. And we still only pay that now. Like, because we're like, the value's in the business. Totally. You know, and this is New Zealand, so there's no capital gains tax. So, like, you sell the business one day. No, I mean, we're not going to sell the business, Connor, but you know what I mean? So it's like the value's in the business, right? Better being in business and property, I'll tell you that now. Yeah, exactly, right? Yeah, exactly. Okay, cool. So, now we're like, you fast forward, you finished when did the last series come out? 2020? No, 2019. Yeah, mid last year. Mid last year. Oh, really? Mid last year. Well, we obviously filmed way before. Yeah, way before. It came out. Yeah. And then so now, in terms of like business and things like that, are you still, like, I've seen on your link trees and stuff like that, you've got a bit of consulting stuff on the side as well. Is that something you're moving more and more into, or is it something that's been doing quite a lot of? No, so I had a lot of people reach out, obviously, going like, I want advice. And in the beginning, I was sort of like getting direct messages and I was like, okay, yep. And then I realized, oh my God, I'm spending so much time. Like, time is money for me. Yeah, I 100%. Didn't start a business to be here helping other people. Like, I still need to help myself. Yeah. And so I decided to do just like a one-on-one. I had mentoring on there too. I mentored a few people. I had to remove that. So now it's just one-on-one. Like, if you're really serious about wanting to know stuff and pick my brain, you got to book a time. I never advertise it. Yep. Ever. I don't need to. Yep. It's not a form of income for me. No. It's purely like the tire kickers where it's like, you can book a time with me and we can have a chat. Otherwise. Yeah. So really it is just Ed and I My Body. Soul, what I do day to day, literally 12 hours a day, I feel, is my business. Yeah. Yes, people sometimes refer to me as like, oh, she's an influencer. I'm like, I'm absolutely not an influencer. Yeah. I am a woman with influence, and that I do understand. And I do have a few partnerships with people who align with my business, like the likes of Samsung, who help me in my day-to-day. But I'm not someone who makes money off posting.
Yeah. It's interesting that people would think that looking at your socials. I would never have thought that looking at your
That
socials.
I was an influencer?
Yeah.
Well,
like, I think you look like someone
come from
with
business.
Yeah, I know. That's it, right?
Yeah.
And I think that is what it is. Like, you're definitely a woman of influence, 100%. I mean, that'd be silly to ever think any other way.
Yeah.
But I think it would look like your brand would deteriorate if you started to do influence stuff, like, right? Like it would.
It's just not me. And look, I've got nothing against influencing. There's people
but
making
you're
big banks with it.
But you're a different brand.
That's not who I am.
You're a different brand.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a brand.
Yeah.
Like the Edni brand is the thing, right? Why would you push other
I'm
people?
proud of my brand. It's taken a lot of learnings over quite a few years to understand like who I am even as well.
Yeah.
And the voice of the business as well.
Yeah.
It takes time.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are intimidated by starting a business because they're like, oh, it's not perfect yet. Oh, it's not quite what I want. It's not there yet. I'm like, you're never going to get there unless you actually take the first step and sell something and learn who your customer is and get feedback from these people and know what works and how you communicate. And that's how you build a brand with time.
Yeah. It's only time.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need to, like, we talk of that sometimes of Connor. So Connor's building a clothing line on the side. It's called The Plaza. And it's cool. It's like Scooter's got the brand's really cool. But like he had all these followers, all these people following him, stuff like that. But when he launched, like it was a bit of a reality check, right? Like it was like, man, like 100,000 people watching the stuff and I got 25 sales or something like that in the first. And it's like, it's time and market. Like doesn't matter how many eyeballs you got the first couple of things, but like in time, if he keeps at it, that'll turn into, thousands and whatnot, right?
For sure.
I want to jump into the business now, and I might have just glossed over so much just then.
No, that's fine. We can always pop back.
Yeah, we can always pop
back.
back.
Comes in.
Exactly. I wanted to ask about like where the business is now, because like first of all, like the team, like how big's the team now? Like what are you working?
It's a really interesting one that you asked that. So Ed and I has got one full-time employee, which is moi.
Yep.
I then have my head of marketing, which is Brie, and she's been with the business now for a good 3 years, maybe a bit longer.
Cool.
She is 2 days a week.
Yep.
And then I have two additional part-timers that do about 10 hours a week for me. One is based in Sydney.
Yep.
She does all these images that you see here.
Awesome. Yeah.
That's her. I don't do any of that.
Yep. Perfect.
And the other one is customer service.
Okay, easy.
There's literally me.
And when you say you, like what are you doing in the role? Like what are you doing? What is your role?
I do everything.
Yeah.
I still to this day, I do everything from waking up in the morning, even checking the customer service emails to make sure there's nothing urgent, to the accounting, supply chain management out of China, having a look after the manufacturing out of here in Auckland and Christchurch. So cash flow projections and product delivery and product forecasting. The marketing calendar and making sure what's happening over the next quarter, second quarter to a maximum a year that we have ahead of us. I sit there and my day feels like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Like some days I don't get dressed. Some days I haven't even had a shower. I'll go to my morning Pilates. So I have my Pilates where I'm like, I just need a moment and I'll do my journaling and mindfulness every morning. And then like that's dinner time and I haven't showered. And my husband's home and he's like, what the hell? I'm like, this is it. This is it's all I am. And people are like, oh, do day in the life of. And I'm like, I can't. Because I'm literally sitting in front. This is all you'll get. That's not a fun day in the life of.
Yeah. I know. I started doing this year I've been doing daily vlogs on my TikTok, and so much of my day is just conversations with people. And it's like, I can't record these conversations. No. And so you're just going to see me drinking coffee all day. Like that's all I'm going to be doing. That's my job. That's what I do. But it's the same thing all day long. It's the same thing. I
sit in the garage at the moment. I do have an office in the city. It's so annoying. I got myself an office in the city. Yeah. And then I got so annoyed at the traffic. And I was like, this is why I also left the corporate world. I was I fucking hate this. Yeah. How can these people do this? This is not a lifestyle. So I've got this office that I'm paying for that I do go in every Thursday because Thursdays the whole team come together and it's like full strategy days.
Cool.
But every other day I'm in my garage, the lights off, in darkness, and that's me. I'm like,
I love that.
People don't know that. I'm like, that's just what I do.
That's just the reality of being a small business owner, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you, in terms of fulfillment and stuff, do you have a 3PL team or something?
Yeah, I had to. I couldn't.
Oh, no way.
I couldn't do that anymore. And to be fair, up until our wedding March last year, I was still doing every order every morning.
Yeah.
And I was very confined in that point in time, it was still in my warehouse. Sorry, in my garage.
Yeah.
I was confined. Like, I couldn't go away for long weekends. I couldn't go away. Like, I couldn't have a hangover. Like, I was like, I've got to be there Monday to Friday packing orders. And I was like, I can't do this anymore. It's just
So when did you bring in 3PLs?
March last year.
Okay, sorry.
Which is like the best.
Yeah.
Best decision.
What was that like? Because like I know what it's like when you bring in that person who takes a massive weight off you. Like, what was that for you? Not having
more
a
cost.
pick and pack. Oh yeah, well, of course. So I'm getting a picture of how your brain
That's
works.
a prime example of you got to spend money in order to make money.
Yeah.
And so when that happened, it was a very big achievement. I was like, oh my god,
shit, yeah,
whoa.
Yeah.
I've always seen these businesses online and they've got these 3PLs and they seem like they're smashing it. And I was like, I finally got it, but I don't feel like I'm smashing it. But I'm like, this is the next step in order for me to grow. And so that for me made me spend more time on what I'm good at.
Yep.
It took me away from the admin things, even though I really did enjoy seeing all the orders come through.
Yeah.
It took me away from that to actually grow the business. And so after that, it just grew even more. Nice.
What was that like in terms of like growth? Like, from like that point to this point, like, because it must have been significant, because if you've got all that time back, knowing like the short time we've had together, I can tell you would have just doubled down on everything.
Yeah.
How did that affect the business growth? Like, was it like quite a noticeable lift up?
Not immediately, but I mean, most months, I mean, not now, obviously, because it's sort of, you do plateau as the business grows a bit. We've always had month-on-month growth.
Yeah.
Which is like, touch wood, is a blessing, and I'm very grateful for that. It just shows the level of the community that we've built.
Yeah.
But I think as a whole, as a business, like we've nearly doubled in sales this year than what we did last year.
Cool.
You know, and we're only halfway through the year.
Yeah, amazing.
So you spend a lot of time where you need to spend time.
Yeah.
And you just, like I've always said, at some point in time, you have to hire people to do what you shouldn't do or you can't do. Like bringing Brie on board, I was like, Brie, you're the marketing genius. I have a creative brain. I'm a very creative human.
Yeah.
But bringing that to market and strategizing and all that, that's you. So I can't do everything.
Yeah.
At some point, you have to bring in the expertise.
Bring the experts, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is Brie the girl that's in some of your TikToks as well?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because you guys talk about that, her being the marketing person, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. This is the same person I was watching. Okay. In terms of audience, that's the other thing I wanted to know. Like, where does this sell to? Like, is it a New Zealand product?
New Zealand, 99% New Zealand.
Okay, cool.
We have intentionally focused our
Interesting. Yeah.
marketing, messaging, whatever, advertising purely New Zealand, because we are bootstrapped and starting small.
Yeah.
I can't be spending all this money in Australia and stuff. Like, it's not my market. Own your backyard before you own your front yard.
Yeah.
And I think like we're getting there.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. I go to like the airport sometimes and I'll randomly ask someone, I'm like, do you know Ed and I?
Yeah.
And if they don't, I'm like, well, my job's not done. Like, I'll look at somebody and I'll be like, you look like my customer. So I'm going to go ask them if they know.
Yeah.
So I still think we've got a lot of potential still in New Zealand, especially with our relationship with Chemist Warehouse, who's tapped into like obviously a way larger audience than we have. So next year is still predominantly New Zealand, but next year we are moving into more international markets. Cool. We don't know yet what that looks like, but we are.
Okay.
We're thinking like if we really want to get to that 8-figure business, you have to get overseas. But for me, that's very intimidating. I'll put my hand up now and go, I think I'm doing okay in New Zealand, right, for a small business.
Yeah.
But I don't know exactly how to take this overseas. Yeah. And that's now me as a business owner, where my challenge lies and where I need mentoring and help in order to do that.
And it's hard, right? Because like as a product-based business, there's a couple things you have to do. It's like, are we going to go direct to the consumer and then try fill it that way? And then there's a whole bunch of marketing stuff that has to happen there to reach those people, PR and all that. Or is it distribution? And then there's a whole bunch of money in stock because they need certain amounts of stock. So like, both are fucked.
I know. This is why I'm sitting there going, are we actually there yet? Yeah. Because we don't have the investment. We could do it.
Yeah.
Somebody give me $1 million, let's fucking do it.
Yeah.
But I'm not willing to give up my shares after working so hard when nobody wanted to back me 3 years ago. Yeah. Now I'm in that kind of like, I'm a bit sour. I'm like, fuck yous.
Yeah, fuck you.
I'll do it myself.
Yeah, I love that. I'm the same. Like there's just no way I could give part of this business away.
Nah.
There's just no way.
Because I just feel like they just don't get it.
I couldn't have anyone tell me what to do.
Nah.
Like the way we spend money and do stuff.
Corporate because of
You've
that.
already got
Exactly.
me. What do you mean?
Oh yeah, well this guy already fucking does. He's on a fucking thin ice. Nah. But that is the thing, right? The only real way to go distribution is investment, right? It's like there's $1 million just to get the product, let alone
I know,
everything else.
and I'm saying that now like I'm a sour human right now, but you know, my business partner says to me, do you want 75%, which I'm currently now, of a $10 million business, or do you want 50% of a $50 million business? Choose, Edna.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm like,
yeah. You know what? I choose 75% of a 10 million every day. No, you know, I do. And like, I think my team knows that. Like, there is no fucking way I can do things, be told what to do.
Yeah, I know. Look,
because I wouldn't enjoy it anymore. I wouldn't enjoy it anymore.
You'd rather just sell.
I'd rather just sell. Yeah, I'm fine to sell. If someone comes and throws me a big paycheck with enough zeros on it, I'll do it. That won't happen because they're not going to. Especially not in my industry. Like yours is a little different because it's a product based business and brand. Like us, it is me. It is this team. It's
you
people.
really are the face of.
It's your personal brand.
Yeah, my personal brand has grown it, right? So it's not going to happen to us. There are definitely people, and we got clients who have like, Stan, let us invest. Like we know where you're going. We've seen the growth. Like we're keen to throw in. I'm like, man, I'm just not going to give you any. Like I can't do it. Like I don't want you to. I already hate that I have to answer to you as a client, let alone as a business partner. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So okay, well, let's just talk about that a little bit more. Like, so for yourself, like, are you more leaning towards, well, maybe 50% of a $50 million business is kind of
not
okay?
at this stage. Like, I'm very much where it's like, okay, nobody's ever taught me how to grow a business or build a business or even how to start a business. Like, nothing. I come from like a dad who's a chartered accountant, 9 to 5. Go get your education, work a 9 to 5. It was always like very limiting mindset in a way. So I've had to break that mindset. I've had to teach things myself. I had to fumble my way through times where I thought I was going to go bankrupt. And you get to this point now where you're like, fuck, that was a wild ride. And I'm like, I'm good. Like I feel like I'm stable now. And I'm willing to now become unstable and uncomfortable again and see if I can get through this and build the brand internationally and then imagine my knowledge base. Imagine, obviously I would like some guidance and help, but not with giving up my soul.
And you don't need to though, right? There's plenty of
I
people.
don't know.
I think you do if you want to go through distribution because it's just capital.
Yeah.
Like you just need the capital or you just need to save for a couple of years till you've got the capital yourself. But that's a lot of money to have tied up in other people's shelves. Whereas the direct-to-consumer way, you can probably do.
You'd need to get on. So I'm working with Chemist Warehouse at the moment because Chemist Warehouse obviously is like our into Australia as well. Yeah,
of course,
So we're just fundamentally focusing on New Zealand at the moment. But we've had these talks with Chemist Warehouse too where it's like, okay, cool. So once you've got the New Zealand Chemist Warehouse arm going and it's pumping and all the rest, you got to consider Australia. I'm like, of course. They're like, they don't know who you are in Australia. They don't know your face. They don't know your brand. You're one of thousands of businesses there, influencers and all that, right? Who are you? So the approach over there would have to be spending a lot of money into PR agencies over there to build the brand. Which we like to this date, I've used one PR agency for 3 months. That's it. My whole brand. I don't want to lean on. I don't have a lot of trust in PR agencies.
Nah, I haven't got a lot of faith in them either.
Nah.
Well, I mean, surely you don't need to, right? Surely your content strategy just needs to ramp up.
It does, and it just needs the money to do that.
When you say the money to do it, what makes you? Where would you spend that money?
Getting more aligned with the me kind of people. But in Australia. So when we work with influencers, even our ambassadors at the moment that we have, and I think we've only got like 2 ambassadors. Like we don't work with a lot of influencers. You won't see a lot of people doing influencer work for Ed and I. These ambassadors, I call them, have other jobs. They don't do influencing full time. And that makes them authentic humans.
Cool.
I personally believe. And these are also people that I personally follow on my own socials. Is I follow other people who have a bigger purpose. Not whoring up brands, if I can say that.
Yeah, of course. Makes sense.
You want to align with people like that if you're wanting to go to Australia. Right? Who is your face of over there that has the audiences that you'd want to work with? You can organically through TikTok, I mean, not really Instagram in New Zealand, you can through TikTok target the Australian market, you can.
Yeah.
It's just a longer game.
Yep.
So they would have to look at how we invest something.
Yeah, to do that. Yeah, because I think you're right? It's like finding people like you and other verticals and that you're like, we're not competing.
No.
But come on as an ambassador with us. You're the same type of person I am, same demographic.
Yeah.
And then they just so happen to be using Edni as their product, right? Yeah, that makes sense.
Authentically, yeah. In their day-to-day, and people are like, what are you using? You know, because if they don't believe in the product, like our ambassadors use our products.
Yeah.
They love Edni. And I would only work with people who purely love Edni.
Yeah. Yeah. What about like, do you mind bringing up the TikTok as well? In terms
oh my God, this is funny.
Yeah.
This is a different strategy.
Which I love. Honestly, I love it. I think it's hilarious. I think like your full like personality's there by the looks of it. I think it's
yeah, so let me explain the TikTok to the Edni.
Nah, it's not that one. I think it's Edna
actually
Swart.
Edna.
Yeah. It's your name, right?
Interesting TikTok. Yeah, it's just me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I keep my logo there because I want people to always know my logo.
Yeah.
But it's changed to me, and we actually made this change about like 4 months ago.
Yeah.
It used to still be the brand.
Yep.
And I was like, you know what? Why do people go on TikTok?
Yep.
Why? Right? It's not, I do not personally go on TikTok to follow brands.
Nah.
People go onto TikTok because they want to see what other people are doing, what's trending, what are they using, what's funny, all that kind of stuff. It's entertainment. So I was like, okay, well, remove the Edni brand off TikTok, pop me on there and let me just be me.
Yeah.
And that's why I was like, just the CEO taking over the TikTok account. That's what we put it in there. And I was then it just became me.
Yeah.
But we have pillars, just like my Instagram has pillars.
Yep.
There are things that I talk about, things that I don't talk about.
Yep.
So my Instagram is beauty, body, business. It's the 3 Bs.
Cool. Love it.
Same with TikTok. There are pillars that we work on. There's some things I just would never share.
Yep.
Things that we do share. And what happened was when I started being me on TikTok, the business started growing.
Yeah, cool.
My personal Instagram started growing.
Yeah, cool.
And my personal Instagram had not grown for a year.
Yeah.
Now in the last month, it grown by 500 people.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, this is how you've got it. So I look at TikTok as a top of funnel.
Yep, cool.
I'm not converting there. No. I want you to strike interest with who I am and what I do. And then I need you to filter down to my brand store, which is Instagram, the website and all that.
Yep.
Get to know us more, understand who we are, what we do. And then that's how they convert.
Yeah.
So that's how we utilize TikTok now.
Love it. And I was thinking, and I like, you can see it, like, because I mean, obviously like trawl through your TikToks as well. But like, where was I going with that? Is that in terms of, like what I wanted to know is like from a growth perspective on TikTok, when you saw that switch from brand to you, what happened with the growth of the TikTok?
Just skyrocketed.
It did, right?
Yeah.
It had to, because I couldn't tell because obviously I don't know what the numbers.
It did. I think it's gone up by, it went up by 8,000 in the last 2 months.
Yeah. And you can see just by the number of views you're getting on these posts compared to where they were.
I stopped caring about TikTok too. I was like, fuck curated shit. I'm over this. That's what Instagram's for. Let's just post whatever I feel like posting. And it started with my outfit checks. A lot of people are always like, what are you wearing? What are you wearing? I was like, let's just do it on my TikTok. If people really want to care what I'm wearing, I'll do it on my TikTok. And then that's how it just started.
Started to snowball.
And then I'd start adding more things. Then Brie would be like, you go into the house today, just film it. Just film that you're trying to buy a house and start your opening sentence with you're going to pay 1.x on a house.
That was such a good hook.
That blew up. But I mean, I find TikTok interesting. Like there's a lot of negativity on TikTok compared to
really?
Instagram.
Interesting. You find
that? I feel like TikTok is brutal. They go on there and they're like, they don't give a fuck for users. Like, they're like, I'm just going to tell you what I think.
We almost see the opposite.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, Instagram, we see nothing because Instagram is just a bunch of millennials too scared to say anything.
Yeah.
So I just think there's something about like Facebook. Facebook's just like a cesspit of hate.
I find that the older demographic, the people who are really unhappy. Yeah.
Whereas TikTok, we actually on TikTok, we see it's all positive for us.
Okay, let me rephrase that.
Yeah, please.
It's 80% positive.
Okay,
like
cool,
if you have a look at my comments, like on the house, everybody was so supportive. Like, oh my God, number 2, I'm so happy for you. Like so much support. But then there are these really daggering humans on TikTok that are just like, you're a pretentious bitch. Like, I'm like, cool. But I find where I think it's because we don't use Facebook, which is why I can't compare.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Our Instagram's like chill.
Yeah. And we find that too, like, so we run like 1NZ's socials as well, right? As they changed to from Vodafone.
Yeah.
And they're obviously fucking everywhere. But Facebook is just like so hateful. Like,
no, it is very hateful.
It's rotten what they say on there. Instagram, there's just no comments.
Nothing.
Like, everyone's like too cool to post because it's all millennials and they don't want anyone seeing what they're doing. And then TikTok is just like, I mean, there is, I wouldn't say it's hate, but there's like banter. Heaps of banter.
Yeah.
Heaps of banter. Like, heaps of people
just memes and stuff.
Yeah, it's like giving them shit,
For
right?
Facebook?
TikTok.
Or TikTok.
Just like people giving
But
them
if
shit.
people give shit on TikTok, then the other people on TikTok will come in and fuck those guys up. Yeah.
Yes. Like on your feed, you'll have people having full DMs or full goes at each other. And you're like, I'm just going to let this run. This is great for like views.
Yeah.
You don't have to go back anymore like you would on Facebook. If someone else just does it for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Like, I've had like videos that have gone off on the TikTok and it's like, on TikTok and it's like, oh, I got 125 comments. I'm like, oh shit, people must have liked it. It's just like one comment thread. It's just people like going at each other.
Having a go at each
Yeah.
other.
And it's like, oh, you bastards.
Yeah.
But it's great. Thanks for the engagement.
Yeah. Definitely top of funnel.
This is the Australia strategy.
Is it?
Oh, 100%. This will resonate with Australians.
Yeah.
Of course
Bree's
it will.
actually said to me, you need to start doing Australian hashtags so you can move your face into Australia.
Yeah, for sure. And look.
Because if I look at my analytics, everything's New Zealand.
The reason why it's New Zealand at the moment is because you haven't broken into the million views often enough. And once you get into a million views often enough, there isn't enough Kiwis to support a million views, right? So it has to go global. Like our Attention Seeker one, it is 36% in the US, 30-something percent UK, and then the rest of it's Australia. And we've only got like 5 or 6% New Zealand.
Oh, interesting.
Because once you start hitting those million view videos, there's just not enough Kiwis watching, So that'll shift to Australia pretty fast because I think your brand will align faster with people in Australia.
Yeah.
100%, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like an Aussie brand who's living in New Zealand.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even when I first watched it, I was like, is she in New Zealand? Like, I was like, is she flying over for this podcast?
I'll take it.
Yeah. No, I think it is. It's like it's really aligned with like the Australian way of doing things.
Yeah.
And like
they're already really similar to us anyway.
Yeah.
So there's not much change.
Yeah, it's not a big
just
jump,
getting the numbers and the more people. Just keep growing, really.
And I think Bree's right. Like, how do you get that initial hit to get it to blow? I mean, there are tricks of like making more Aussies see it and stuff like that because Australians will probably watch more Australian stuff. So if you can categorize it as an Australian thing, makes sense. You guys say that?
I was going to say use some of the Aussie audios. Like when those trends jump on, like the Land Down Under and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, the things that the Aussie crowd's getting into.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. But there's the other hack, which is like get a VPN and post as if you're in Australia.
Oh.
Right? Because that definitely works. Because it does. Because like what it does is it tests, the testing audience is always the local audience.
Oh.
And so if you just like get a VPN to say you're in Sydney or Gold Coast or, any populous place or Melbourne or whatever, it's going to test in that area first. And you could just have a whole series of it. Like, just run it for a while.
You just on the same TikTok though?
Yeah, same TikTok.
Oh, yeah.
Just put the VPN on your phone that you post from. Like, because we do it for like, we had a client in Miami and we had to do that. Like the phone, whenever we posted for them, we had to like VPN
on the Miami phone. You have to tell me how to do that.
Yeah.
I don't know that shit.
Yeah. Super simple.
Maybe my husband knows that.
Yeah. VPNs are easy. I mean, there's free ones on phones as well. But this is the top of funnel strategy for Australia. Like, I don't reckon you'll need to, if you do this right for like 6 months, and the quantity that you're putting up, because like you're always on my feed, it always pops up because you put so much out.
Well, I'm trying to just put like one a day at least.
Exactly, which a lot of people don't. A lot of people aren't posting that often, right?
Yeah.
They're not putting that much up. And so if you just continue to do that post and then over the next 6 months, you'll get a few that go.
Yeah.
Because it's not everyone that's going to go, but you'll get ones go and then they'll watch everything else around it. That's why like people like, we always talk about like, Alex Earl on TikTok?
Yeah.
Her strategy is real clever because she, I think it was like September, October last year, I first saw it 500,000. Now she's like 5.5 or something. She's just 6 or 8 a day. That's what she does. 6 to 8 a day. Yeah. And then one will go off and get 6 million and then everything around it will get lifted. And because she's got 40 around it from that recent, they all get millions of views.
Fuck, who has that much content?
I know.
When I'm sitting in a garage in the dark for 12 hours, like I'm so confused. What the fuck am I going to do?
Oh, I love it. Like if you watch it, you can see she's the same. She's like, She's real smart. And I use her as an example because, like, yeah, of course, she's like the hot girl doing the hot girl things. But, like, you can tell she's clever. She's got definite pillars. She's, like, got the get rid of you with me. Mm-hmm. She's got, she's got all that stuff.
You've got to have pillars. Otherwise, and I say this to people, otherwise you're like, you just post anything and people don't know who you are.
Yeah. They don't know why you're following you.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I reckon that's all you do. Like, I love that you use your face for the brand for TikTok because it's so smart. It's what we tell a lot of clients. Like, even with One NZ as an example, which is pretty public, we want all your office employees or all your employees in the videos. Like, we're not using any more talent, like no more influencers, no nothing, just real people in your thing.
Yeah.
CEO needs to start it off. Brand team needs to start it off. And then we're going to go into the store. We're going to use people.
Yeah.
So I think you should just double down on this if you want to go to Aussie. How do you do it? How do you get Brie to help? Or how do you, how do you ramp up?
Yeah, no, I do.
How do you ramp it up? How do you do more?
I think it's just like for us, again, you just go back to the drawing board and go, what's your pillars? How many times are you going to go post? What are you going to post? What are your topics? And you just flesh it out.
Just do it.
Because it gives me guidance. Like I said to my girls, we've got a marketing calendar. And I said, if there's anything you need me to do or get on my stories in that marketing calendar, you need to put me in there.
Yeah.
Because I check it in the morning and then I know what to do. I'm like, get on the stories and talk about this.
Yeah.
So if I'm just told what to do essentially in my life now, I'm like, fuck, all right, let's go do it.
Yeah.
So,
I think you should you guys are completely different brands, but I think you put Alex Earle up there. There's more of them. There's not just Alex. There's others who have done it. But like study the strategy she took. You can easily see if you watch it. You can see what she's done. And she's been so smart about it. And look what happened. I mean, she was already wealthy because she came from a rich family. But like,
oh, was she?
Yeah, you can tell. Like, her family will fly around on private jets and stuff. Like,
one day.
Yeah, she's fine. She's doing all right.
We have to work for that.
Yeah, exactly. But you can see she's been very strategic with the pillars and what she's done.
She went to that white party, eh? How the fuck is invited to that party, eh?
She's been to everything.
It's wild.
She went to everything. Like the stuff that she rocks up to. Like, she's almost
How old is she?
Oh, like 22.
What?
She just graduated uni.
Why do Americans always look older than what they are?
Yeah.
It's an American thing, eh?
Yeah. She just graduated from University of Miami. Like, literally just did her final things. Yeah.
I did not look like that when I was 22. I just want to say that's just not. I didn't look like that.
No.
Absolutely not.
I mean, that's the generation these days. So they're growing up way faster than we did, or than I did, at least anyway. But I think you would actually, your problem that you'll find is like, you'll be like, which market now? If you can kick it off to grow your TikTok, the problem is that, it might be able to get some influence into Australia, but then you'll start to open up UK, US, and it'll be US because it's always US grows fastest. So on TikTok, they're just the biggest audience on there. Everyone we know who starts to grow really fast, the US audience becomes a third of it to 45% real fast. Yeah, it's just so active on it. There's so many of them on there. I think it's like,
that's all they do all day is sit on there. I don't have time for that.
And they just love it. They just love it, which is why it's so funny that they've talked about banning it over there.
Yeah, what happened with that? That just get...
It's still in the courts.
Okay.
It's most likely that it's going to be sold. They're going to sell that arm of it. That's from all the people talking about it. US is going to force them to sell from the Chinese company. Yep. So they'll sell off the arm that's based out of Singapore, because there's there's TikTok, the Western version of TikTok, which is headed up by the guys in Singapore, and then there's the I can't remember what the Chinese name is, but of the other Chinese version that's ByteDance in China. So they'll sell off that other arm, and then
it can stay in America.
Yeah, because then it'll be a Western company doesn't have direct ties to the Chinese government. That's what they say. It's not. It's a financial thing. It's American trying to get their slice of the pie. They're just annoyed that they're just annoyed.
Like every other thing in the world.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
The Chinese are spying on more people than everyone else. Anyway, get out of politics.
Let's not talk about that.
Yeah. So tell me. We're in a spot now where you almost want to get uncomfortable again by the sounds of it and push to the next thing.
It's funny that you say that, because for this week, since Monday, I've been sitting at my desk and I've been very like, meh.
Yeah.
I need to get uncomfortable. Dangerous. Like, I've got this thing in business where if you're ever comfortable, get uncomfortable. Because when you're comfortable, that's when your business starts sliding.
Yeah.
And so now I'm like, I'm waiting for my next big move in the chess game of business.
Cool.
And I don't know what that is yet.
Yeah. You got some ideas without
I got
giving
some,
things
like
away?
I do. Like, I'm speaking to a couple of people, one being a Vietnam arm who's approached us.
Interesting.
So but I'm like fine tooth comb. Like,
of course.
What are we going to do here?
Why do you want me?
So there's Southeast Asia, like I definitely think there is a market there.
Yeah, and
the
it's
reason
emerging
being
fast.
very emerging fast. So during lockdown, a lot of their residents came back from overseas, back to home.
Yep.
With that, they bought a lot of the westernized products and things like that you don't usually find.
Yeah, okay, interesting.
And so now, when I was talking to the Vietnamese team there, they were like, we need more of these products available in Vietnam. And we're trying to partner with New Zealand and Australian brands because the New Zealand and Australian brands are loved there to be more readily available.
Interesting.
So I kind of get that. So even like the simple thing of like how Asians, a lot of the Asian culture is they don't like being tanned because it means that you're poor because you work outside.
Yep.
Now there's been a shift where they've come back and they are tanned and they need tanning products over there now because they're seeing like that's actually a trend now. They think that's beauty now.
That's funny.
So yes, it's interesting. So there are a few things that I am looking at. Yep. I'm just trying to get the business from, I feel like every 12 months I go from, how do we get from X to X?
Yep.
Now from this to this, from this to this.
Yep.
And, and I'm at that stage now. I think it's come up because we're starting to plan 2024. It's so wild.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But I'm like, fuck.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Nah, that is good. Yeah, my, speaking of getting like, when things get a bit meh in the business, like, so my partner Claire will always go, if she ever sees me getting bored, she's like, oh, fuck, he's about to set the place on fire. Like, fuck, get him out. And he's saying to do, you got to keep him busy. Otherwise, he'll set this whole place on fire, because that was always my life through my career through hotels. Like, I would go into a hotel, I'd fix it, I'd get it working, and then I'd get bored and I'd borderline get fired or sometimes did. And my bosses are like, you need to go to the next project. Like, you can't be stable. Like, your job's to get it stable and then move on. It's been cool growing our own business because, you've grown your own business.
You can't go anywhere.
Yeah. And it doesn't stay stable for long because you have the decision to be able to get it like uncomfortable again.
Well, you have to because there are new businesses popping up all the time. Your competitors are always on the move.
Yeah.
And I'm that one with no backing.
Yeah.
Like I don't have limitless shit.
Nah.
So I always have to be on.
Yeah.
Always have to be uncomfortable. Yeah. What's next? What are we working on?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. No, we're the same.
And it is exhausting though. Like I said to Brie the other day, I haven't had a day off. Even on our honeymoon, I was working. I have not had a day off in 4 years. Yeah. Where I haven't been, oh fuck, I've got to I've got to do this quickly. I've never just been able to switch off.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't know how many more years I've got doing that. But I'm still okay.
Yeah.
But I just don't know for how.
And it just changes, right? The little things you just got to do change. The different things. Like you think about the little things you just got to do today are different from the little things you just had to do last year.
Yeah.
And they keep evolving. And so it's like it's a carrot, right? Like
I know.
It's just a little bit. It's like, oh, cool. I got rid of that thing. I don't have to do 3PL anymore. Shit. Product forecast. Like your whole world's in spreadsheets.
It just grows. It's just different. It's different. And then it's more financial stress because your responsibility is higher and you're like, fuck, now I'm going to make more money and how do I do that?
Yeah, exactly. You should, it's interesting that you said Vietnam actually, because like Indonesia as well. So like Indonesia's like the second largest audience on TikTok in the world after the US.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they're huge on it. But not just TikTok, YouTube as well. So like we were talking to the guys at YouTube the other day and they were saying that like we want to spend money into New Zealand and Australia, but there's 100 and something million people in Indonesia who are all on it. It's like, why would we come here? 5 million people it's like the wealth of this country isn't enough to combat the numbers.
No.
And they're running TikTok shop over in Indonesia now.
Oh.
So like buy straight in video. Like you don't even have to go to the website. You just hit the buy.
They are bringing it here though, aren't they?
Yeah, it's still a little while away. They haven't even got a release date for TikTok shop. So it's fully in UK, fully in the UK, fully in Indonesia and a couple other Asian countries. China, it's been there for ages. UK's the Western test market for it at the moment. And one of our partner agencies we do some stuff with, they're fully into it. And they actually gave away the management of social accounts. They're just doing TikTok shop now because of how much is exploding. But that could be an option too, right? Like double down on TikTok because
we are spending more time on TikTok. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm a little bit late to the game. So I got into TikTok the first lockdown.
Yeah.
And fuck, I grew so quickly within a month.
Yeah.
And then I stopped using TikTok because we came out of lockdown and I just went back to my job.
Status quo, yep.
Right. And I kind of neglected it and I didn't quite understand like how important it is until like this year. And I feel like I'm a bit too late.
You're not late. Not even close. We had a client 6 weeks ago now, I don't want to say I'm on camera, but 6 weeks ago, 6 weeks ago they started 0 to 35,000.
Yeah.
So what was that?
In 6 weeks.
20.
Not even in 6 weeks.
No, it wasn't in 6 weeks.
It was in like
four and a half.
No, it was in days. It was
No, they blew up in 4 days. They had their first million view video on fourth post that we put out.
TikTok, yeah. From saying I'll go TikTok to like being where they are, six weeks.
It's been 6 weeks now. They've had about 20 million views. 6 weeks, and like you're not like, and that's not just them. Like the amount of clients, because we don't do paid here. We only do organic.
Oh yeah.
And so all our clients, you're not late, even close to being late.
Okay.
It's like
gives you a little bit of hope.
Still early.
No one in the business realm has come to TikTok yet. That's the thing. Like all the kids are on it.
Yeah.
And that's the only thing you'll feel late for. But the actual business owners,
Yeah.
I see a lot of businesses on there. They're like, obviously, I watch my competitors and they've all got business,
Yeah,
but
but
their views are low.
And so they don't know how to make organic content that's good. And then they go and put a bunch of money into it.
They do advertising. They put like a spend behind it. I'm like, I don't want to spend on TikTok. I just want it to be organic.
But you'll be able to tell straight away that their ads aren't working, because you'll go look at the video, it'll be like 1 million views and it'll be 8 likes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and then they just fuck it for themselves from there on, because everyone's like, oh, that account's shit.
Yeah, that account's shit. They got shit content. And everyone knows a paid ad. Like people watching, they're like, engagement's not there. It's obviously crap. But also like, just because it counts views from the moment someone sees it, not 3 seconds in like Facebook does, or YouTube's I think 2 and a bit 3 seconds in, it starts to count it as a view. TikTok's like, you saw it, that's a view. So you pay for 2 million views, they could have watched it for half a second.
Just flicking.
Yeah. And so it's not worth it. It has to be engagement first. And you've obviously already proven it, because you haven't put money behind these, right? There's
No.
because you can tell by the engagement
No,
levels.
absolutely not. I've got my spenders on Facebook and Instagram at the moment.
Yeah.
And that's still working for me. I don't think that's quite redundant yet.
No. I reckon that what you do is you do this until you can crack the numbers, like you get more and more at this 500,000 to $1 million level. And once you've got that cracking off, if you really...
The only one that I got $1 million was my grandma couldn't do a shot.
Oh, yes.
Did you see that one?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, why do you have to get that?
Oh.
Fucking hell, grandma, seriously?
Well, I reckon what you do is you just keep doing that until the point where you're getting that more consistent, 500,000 mil. What that tells you is you've got the content.
Yeah.
And then you just go, okay, are we making a move to Australia? If so, let's take that content and just push it into a demographic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you already know the content's good. Don't worry about conversion. Just top of funnel.
Just keep going.
Yeah, just top funnel. And then you'll get to a point where people, like we did a, I don't know if you've watched much of our Attention Seeker one, but like we did
It does come up on my page, but you just interviewing? Maybe
that's my one.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
that's my
I'm
one.
a lot of that.
So
Okay.
that's my one. That's Stanley's one. So that's our personal brand. But our Attention Seeker TikTok, this one, we did like so this one goes off. This is the whole team. We did one on a product. We did a joke product, which was a T-shirt that said questions. So KW, that spelling. So it's a piss take thing that we do here. Well, Joni did it as part of a presentation. And, that's selling merch one. Oh, they're in there. So it had 440,000 views on that, right? That we came up with a joke product. It was a print-on-demand T-shirt. Terrible. Sold it for $90. Crappy print. We had 44,000 people go to the website, and 4,000 people added it to cart off the one video. And only 55 people bought it, which was great because it was so bad. It was so bad. It was so shit. We got one. I'll show you on the way out. It's hanging up.
So you actually had to get them made.
It was all print on demand. I was like, we did it as a joke. I was never going to make them. So they just, like, the companies print them on demand.
Oh, my word.
And the only thing you had was this link in bio. You couldn't even have the link on the actual video.
Nah. Yeah. So it just went off. And what it was a storyline. So this was part of a storyline between Joni and I.
Oh, okay. So did you have multiple videos?
We had multiple videos, not about merch, but about Joni
business?
trying to get a raise. So Joni was trying to get a raise by doing all these different things. Oh. And so she was like, hey, Stan, my next idea is I'm going to do this product and I get to keep half the revenue. You know, it was a joke storyline.
I got you now. And I think I want to touch on this, though, because I feel like on my recent TikToks, I decided to start incorporating, because I've done it on Instagram. So I was like, fuck, let's do it on TikTok too.
Yeah.
I started bringing people along my journey and developing a product.
Yeah.
And the most recent one, the snail mucin one.
Yeah.
You know, I was just like, what do you guys reckon? After me explaining the whole snail mousse thing, everybody was like, I can't wait for this product. You need to bring it out. You need to put this ingredient in. I can't wait for Ed and I to bring a moisturizer. Like, it's the storytelling that I feel like when people feel involved, they're like, I'm part of this.
100%.
Then when they get the product, they're like, oh shit, I had a say in this.
Yeah.
Yes. But it's so true.
It's so true.
The brand that I think is really, really, really good at doing that is Quick Flick.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I don't know if you know Quick Flick.
Yeah, I do, but I haven't noticed. I have
Iris,
to go have a look
the
at it.
CEO of Quick Flick. So she is unbelievable.
I have to go check it out.
She got into Coles purely by standing outside Coles and being like, what do you think about this product sitting in Coles? Convinced that this was going to be in Coles, and Coles was like, we need it.
Yeah, I love that.
Brought the
great.
whole
we'll have to
entire...
do some research on that. I haven't actually watched
go
all
Quick
that
Flick
shit.
Iris.
Can
Watch
you
it.
jump into that one, the snail one, Connor?
This one here?
Yeah, and go into the comments. And like...
I mean, it's not a lot of views, but it's a lot of comments.
Oh, you need to log in to look at the made thing. I'll have to do it later. But I was going to say is that's an easy way to do heaps of content. So like you do a video, a storyline one, and say, tell me your thoughts on XYZ. They come up with these questions. Yeah.
Oh,
and then you just reply to everyone as like just talk to everyone.
Oh, what, you can do that?
Yeah, video replies. So if you hit reply, you can reply with video.
Oh, and it goes onto your thing. Is that how they do it? I was
Yeah.
those questions up there. I'm like, how the fuck did they get that
Yeah,
question
that's
up
a
there?
replying to a video. Replying to a comment with a video, sorry.
Oh.
Yeah. And so that's real good because now you just did one video knowing you've engineered the comments to ask questions, right? Because you've gone, I know what I'm going to do here. They're all going to ask me a bunch of questions about different things.
Yeah.
And then I'm just going to make 10 bits of content in a day just by answering them all. And
And
now
it's
you've just got
10 videos.
And your community loves you for it because they're like, she always replies to us. Like she answers the questions. You just pick the best 10. Or what you do is you like real sneaky is you just
do
get
your own comments.
Do your own comments.
That's
Ask your
what I
own
used to
questions.
do,
Yeah. So like we have a whole bunch of other accounts that we do shit for. And
Naughty.
so he would
Nice.
comment on his own shit, the question he wants to answer. But we do it all the time.
No, I love that. It's
Engineering the
strategic.
comments. Yeah. Engineering the comments all the time.
Yeah.
Joni's real funny at the moment because Joni's like on our TikTok, she's putting heaps out. She's like just talking to herself on her personal profile on the attention seeker one, even to the point where it's like real meta. She's like, stop commenting as yourself to have conversations with you. She's like, no, I'll never stop. And it's like, and it's a slow deterioration of her going chaotic almost thing.
Oh my God, that's funny.
So
I love that.
That's a real easy way to jump up. Like, and then you get a whole story arc, right? Because you get all these people getting to hear everything. But as you know, if you build a small community who loves and comes back because they know they get answers, they're going to be back every time.
Yeah.
And then when you do the launch, they're like, I'm in, I'll buy.
I know all about that. Like we've had the community so engaged that we had to like make products sold out because it just got mental.
Yeah.
But that's success. It's a successful community.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's what you want.
And like I can't, when it comes to business, especially in my world, I can only speak from like my world. There's nothing more valuable than your community.
Nah, not even close.
And you've got to respect that and you've got to respect them and you've got to involve them. Like there's nothing, like I appreciate my team so much.
Yeah. Oh, it's huge. And like for us as a business, like community management is such a big part of the thing we offer because like we know clients aren't going to do it. Like, you know, it's like 1NZ, we do 100% of every comment that comes through on theirs, which is thousands. Like we have a full-time person, just all she does. But even on our own, like we'll go through and reply to every single comment. And we don't bulk make too much content on our stuff because we want to see what the comments are so we can make videos.
Yeah,
you know, the
based on
questions
that.
t-shirt was a questions t-shirt because that became a thing because it was the end of one of our videos and it just had a life of its own in the comments. And so like, let's do a t-shirt on it. Like this will be funny. And the data was awesome. Like the data was like, so we could just go to clients and be like, look, this is how you do it. Engineer a storyline, drop the product, boom, you get 40,000 people over to it, you know? So yeah, I love it. No, I think that's cool. I think that, I mean, all your other stuff's great. It's like you can see you've got like the proper Instagram strategy, which is worked and tried and tested and it's fucking great. Does exactly what it should do. And then your TikTok, you can see, like, what was it, 4 months ago? Like
It's just changing it up. We just
you
have to change
nailed
it up
it.
a little bit. And it's just filtered through to Instagram. Like I always say, Instagram will grow if your TikTok's growing. It just filters.
Of course. Yeah, people are going to jump over. Yeah, especially what you've got because you've got two different strategies on both.
Yeah.
Which you should keep because we don't on our personal stuff because we don't. I'm on our company stuff because we don't try a lot on Instagram. But every time you have two, that gives them a reason to go follow because like, oh, there's different content there. Cool, let's see it. Right? Well, we don't do that here. It's just resourcing.
It's the same, same resourcing. Yeah, no, we tried that whole same on TikTok and Instagram. Didn't work.
No, Doesn't
Didn't
work.
work for us.
And that's what all the other brands are doing. That's why they're failing.
That's why they're failing.
And that's why so many people aren't going hard in on TikTok.
Yeah.
And that's why it's still so good to join, because there's still there's little people on it because they can't do it.
They can't do it. They're doing it the even worse way around, putting Instagram content onto TikTok.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. Yeah.
Yes.
That just bombs.
And then it bombs, so they go, I'm not doing TikTok.
Yeah,
and then
TikTok shit doesn't work.
Space for people like you to go hard and then take the spotlight off.
Take all of it. Because like we had like, I mean, we could probably need to start wrapping up anyway, but one of our videos on TikTok is responsible for 125,000 of our followers. One video.
That's crazy.
You know, and it's because we engineered it that way. Like it was, so Joni legitimately has brackets that she has to hit, and every time she gets a 5K pay rise, and the next one's $500,000, but the last one was 100. Yeah, it was 100, and we're like 80, 90,000, and we engineered this video, and I was like, you know how to get a pay rise? You got to get to 100K. 125,000 people followed, and then like just to get her pay rise, just to spite me, you know, because that was the dynamic, the storyline. It was her versus me, so they all just jumped on her back to like spite me.
Oh my God, I love that.
Boom.
It's fully engineered.
Yeah, that's perfect. I mean, the whole thing is like, we always talk about, like, Joni and I always like, a video will go off, the comments will do what we think we did, and she'll come over and she's like, Papa Master, like, you know, like, and it's funny because it's like the audience knows we're doing it to them, like they all get it now, like there was even a video that went out the other day of Joni. Oh, it was yesterday. You know, Joni's one where she did like the template vlog, where she had her and Tyler doing the thing. The comments on Instagram were, oh yeah, you're probably going to get fired for this and make a fake video of Stan telling you off. Like, you know, like it was like fully like they knew exactly what was going to come from it. Yeah. So that's quite good. Well, look.
I love that.
That was cool.
Thanks.
That was cool. That was cool to hear the story. Because as I said, like, I had been gone. I didn't know the whole story. But I had seen the business and I could tell I really wanted to dig in TikTok because I could see the change. Yeah. And I think it's smart. And I think that for people watching this who are getting into their own stuff or have a brand, bringing the face, I think the biggest takeaway from this is that you essentially believe what we is that personal brand's everything. That if you don't have a face behind it, your business
and like
suck.
people also, and I want to say this because like, what about if you want to sell one day? Like you can't sell yourself. I'm like, honey, there's no way that the brand's just going to buy my business and not expect me to stick around for 12 months. They can wean me out however the fuck they want to. Yeah. I'm not going anywhere after I've sold the company for at least 12 months.
There's no way.
So until then, and until I get that figure in front of me that I will be the face of and I'll be the person that's relatable and drive the business.
That's it. I mean, I always point to like people like even like Ryan Reynolds. You think about all the acquisitions he's had recently, like Mint Mobile sold for like 400 million or something stupid like that. His contract has to be there for 2 years as an ambassador. God,
yeah.
Like
they're not going anywhere.
They're not going anywhere.
And they'll figure it out in those 2 years on what's the next steps.
Yeah. Without giving the number away, do you have a number that you'd sell Ed and I for?
If somebody approached me with a number, I know that number.
You know that number?
And my team knows that number. But we're not there yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And do you think when you get to the place where that number's valid, will that number still be that number, or will you want more by that point?
I mean, I'm always a reacher. Yeah. I'll probably want more. But I think I'm also at that stage of my life where I'm like, I'm not young anymore. Like I'm heading mid-30s. Like if I want to have a child and be a mum and all that too, unfortunately, being a fucking woman, there's other things that I have to consider as well.
Yeah, of course.
So, but who knows what tomorrow has.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming on. That was a great conversation. Appreciate it.
Till next time.
Cool.